So great to have you with us. I'm your host, Jim Masters. This is the Jim Masters Show, entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. Thanks so much for joining us. We've got an extraordinary guest who's joining us from the United States, from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Acclaimed author and playwright Rosanna Staffa is joining us here, and she has penned this fabulous new novel. You see it on your screen. We're going to talk about that, and also her phenomenal career as a playwright and an author. This is her very first novel. So she's all excited, and so are we. How's everybody doing today? Thanks again for joining us. We always have a good time here on our show. If you'd like to comment during the show, you can. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Jim Masters TV. And when you subscribe to the channel, it doesn't cost anything. You can comment in our Lovity Hall chat room. That's a chat room we opened up and designed for all of you to communicate with one another, with us. Let us know where you're watching from, how much you enjoy the show. And don't forget also to leave a like if you enjoy these episodes, and leave a comment on the episode as well on our YouTube channel. And again, we are going to really dive into a really fantastic conversation, because this is the place for some really phenomenal conversations with extraordinary guests who come from all around the world. Rosanna has been all around the world. She was just telling me moments ago before we started the show that she has traveled the world, and we talk about some of those amazing experiences doing that as well. Again, she is a revered and beloved playwright and author, Italian-born playwright and author. Her debut novel, The War Ends at Four, was just published recently by Regal House Publishing, and her essay, Holy, is a prize winner in the TSR Review and nominated for the notable Best American Essays. That is incredible, huh? Her work can be found in the Best Small Fictions Anthology 2021. And Rosanna is a recipient of honorable mention for the Tiferet Journal 2019 Writing Contest Award. She also short story finalist for the Masters Review Anthology and for the 47th New Millennium Writing Awards Pushcart Prize nominee. Most recently, her work was in Gargoyle Magazine, Brevity's nonfiction blog, The Sun, the Examine Life Journal, and Juxtapose as well. Her plays have been seen on stages in Tokyo and New York and Seattle, all around the world. Again, as I said, she's a prolific playwright, and she loves what she does. New York, Seattle, and all over the world. Her play, The Innocence of Ghosts, was staged off-Broadway in New York, and it was filmed for the inclusion in the Lincoln Center Theater on Film Library, which is very, very special. Her plays are published by Heinemann and Smith and Krauss, and Rosanna's play, The Biggest Little House, is included in the Plays for Early Learning Anthology, published by the University of Minnesota Press. That's just the short list. She also holds a PhD in modern foreign languages, from Milan, and also an MFA in fiction as well, which is really exciting. And she's a member of the Loft Literary Center and an affiliated member of the Playwright Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She's a member of the Italian Cultural Center in Minneapolis, the Italian American Studies Association in New York, and of the Italian American Writers Association. And she's also a Hedgebrook Writers Retreat alumna. That's Hedgebrook Writers Retreat, which is well known and everybody loves it. And let me tell you, we don't stop there. She doesn't stop there. She's also a licensed acupuncturist from the California Acupuncture College in Los Angeles, too, and the Zhejiang College of Acupuncture in China as well. I tell you, she is a very busy person, but she's a go-getter as well. And I want to tell you about the book. In The War Ends at Four, author Rosanna Staffa explores the quest of a perpetual outsider looking for a true home, all while at the same time, here's where some of that twist comes in, and we'll talk about that. Coming to terms with the Italy she left behind and the America she found. Yeah, Renata, an Italian acupuncturist in Minneapolis, sounds very similar, huh? Falls madly in love with a charismatic actor. Once married, she discovers his passion is not focused on her alone. With her marriage and her small acupuncture clinic in crisis, she's called to her father's deathbed in Milan. And there, Renata again faces the slights she suffered in childhood as the daughter of an immigrant from Naples. Crippled by grief and anxiety, or grip that is, over her future, she discovers that her father, a survivor of World War II, believed until the end in risk-taking as a life-affirming necessity. And with newfound courage, Renata stumbles into the lure of an old love and the magic of a new one. Her final action surprises even herself. The reviews coming in for this book have been phenomenal, everybody. And we're going to tell you how you can get your copy. There is a bigger version of it right there. The War Ends at 4. This, again, is our very special guest, Rosanna Staffa's very first novel. She's all excited. We're all excited. So without further ado, now that you know a little bit about the novel and about our show, if this is your first time here watching, welcome to the show. So great to have you with us. Don't keep it a secret. Tell your friends about the Jim Masters Show series. It's always a pleasure. Let's welcome our special guest coming to us from Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA. We told her she didn't have to throw her hat in the air like Mary Tyler Moore did. You know, she was originally supposed to be from WWII TV News on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. And she threw the hat in the air in Minneapolis. And there's a bronze statue in Minneapolis commemorating that. She doesn't have to do that. All she has to do is join us here on the show. And here she is.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
I am so happy to have you here as well, Rosanna. We wanted to chat with you for some time. Welcome. And it's an honor and a pleasure.
It's such a pleasure to be here and to be welcomed. It's a beautiful sensation for me to always deal with strangers that welcome me. You know, it's beautiful, and I thank you.
And the pleasure is mine. And you know what? When we're done, we're not going to be strangers anymore. We just met for the first time. We're going to be old friends by the time we have wrapped this up. What was the inspiration for writing this novel? And congratulations on it, Rosanna.
Thank you. Well, I asked the question that I asked myself. Who we are when we are estranged from our familiar territory. Yeah. I wanted to see the complexity of love and the complexity of cultural, connection, identity. I am sure that while my protagonist, like me, is an Italian that goes to Minneapolis and acupuncture and all that, I think everybody can find a little nest in my novel. I hope so, because he really tells people not to be frightened if you have more questions than answers. It's the way to be. That you can let them breathe with you, and once you don't rush to conclusions, they become your friends. Questions are your friends. Let them be.
That's right. It's so beautiful that you think that way. It's that's how you learn, and that's how some of your own questions get answered, right? About life, about living.
Yeah. And acupuncture also taught me that if there is a resistance to a diagnosis, there is a reason. Look more carefully. So rushing has never solved anything. And I also want to say, and I hope people see it in the novel, I heard it's there, that, being a person that lives through layers of consciousness is not it means that you don't have a strength. You have a different kind of strength, a courage. And by changing, letting yourself go to new places and explore, you become a bit of a child again with that excitement and that fear, and it's fine. And then, you will really discover parts of yourself you didn't know. And that's a great gift.
Did you find that happening as you were writing the book? Were you discovering parts of Rosanna that hadn't been discovered previously?
Yes. The book originated, I tell you the truth, one night there was such silence. Squirrels were not going up and down. People had not started going to work here in Minneapolis. And then I thought about Milan, my friend in Milan, and they were waking up, and I saw the sun. I heard their voices, and I said, how could I leave? And so I asked myself, how could I leave? And it was an honest question. You know, when you're in a crisis, like the protagonist of the novel, that has a lot to do with me, it requires an authenticity. You cannot lie. I'm sure you verify that. As an adult in a crisis, you can't fake it.
No.
You go to a place of authenticity. That's the place you need to go to. And it will tell you who you are in a very tender way, not in this brutal, this, that. You know, there is comfort, but also a trap in staying with what you know. And Renata, going back to Milan, meets a little bit of the ghosts of herself, the people who had stayed.
How much of Renata is Rosanna?
A lot.
I thought so. I thought, yeah.
You can be only authentic, and otherwise, you know, the readers know. You know, that's a very scary and wonderful thing. Readers know when you're sincere and when you're not. And they pushed me to talk to myself because I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to be authentic. I wanted the readers, if my emotion was authentic, I felt that the reader felt their own. I didn't want them to feel Renata's emotion, but find a door into their own and feel safe, to feel divided, confused. I wanted them to feel safe. I also wanted to give them a backstage view of Milan, not the usual Milan. I wanted them to smell the fog, walk the streets people don't walk, go to the dinners that are a little complicated, stay with the silence that have subtext. I really wanted the readers to come through the Milan that I wanted.
What was it about Milan that you selected Milan to be the subject of the story as well?
Well, that's the place where I was a grown-up. So, you know, there are marvelous things about childhood. I actually discovered writing in my childhood, the power of words. I discovered the power of listening as a child because I was from Naples, but I lived in the Venetian district. And the dialect is what Italians speak, and a dialect is a new language. So I learned to be quiet and listen. It's a great thing to learn. But in Milan, I was an adult making adult choices. And I remember the flavors in a particular way, and I wanted to go there. You know, when you leave your country or a place you knew, it doesn't have to be a country. It can be the beautiful city you know and love in America. There is something of an interrupted speech, an interrupted narrative, and I wanted to go through that interruption and live with it and understand it. You know, when I go back now, it's a different Milan. It's like, you know, when you're at the dinner and we're having a great conversation and then you leave to go make a phone call, and when you return, the conversation has changed. Everybody, the mood, everybody's talking about something else. So I wanted to go back then, not now, because now is different.
So I mentioned in the introduction, as we were starting the broadcast, that you have traveled all over. You've lived in various places around the world. Tell us about some of that and how that has enhanced your incredible creativity in terms of writing a novel like this, but also being a brilliant and acclaimed playwright as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, there is a subtext to everything. And as a playwright, that's what you catch. And I love, there are these conversations that look so normal, and then you go, but you sense an emotion under it. And especially when you live in a different place, you pay attention because you want to really understand. It's like taking a hike in a different, hiking path. Nobody's casual, I think. We all go, I know that I should wear good shoes, but what kind of shoes on
What kind of shoes, right?
Yeah, what kind of shoes and all that. And so I lived in many places, and
What are some of the places you've lived?
Well, I lived in China shortly, in Hangzhou, People's Republic of China. It was a fascinating experience, of course. And what came useful to me, this is funny, is that in the Venetian district, we bike a lot since childhood. So I was an amazing biker. And the Chinese admire the skill at biking. So here I was biking in the stick,
They love it in Amsterdam too, and in the Netherlands. Bikes when we've been there, we've been to Venice, we've been to Netherlands. Bikes everywhere in Netherlands, huh? Like a main mode of transportation there too.
Yeah, and you're respected if you know the rules, So I gained a little more respect as a biker than as an acupuncturist, but then I earned it there too.
Yeah, right.
And every place has its atmosphere. Is a way people communicate differently. I lived in New York. New York, it was great love because everything was confusing and marvelous.
Interesting way to put that. Yeah, confusing and marvelous. Yeah, isn't it interesting? Yeah, you have everything there, meaning all exposures to every sort of experience in a way, all at the same time sometimes.
And I have to tell you, when I arrived in New York, I was, fresh from Italy. I was, I didn't know I would stay. And
did you speak English?
More than speaking, I could read it because I had a PhD. But American is very complicated. The spoken.
This version of English is not like England's English. Yeah.
The first phone call, the operator said, "Hang on," and I went, "Hang what?
Yeah.
Oh, what?" Yeah. I didn't know what you meant.
Hang my shirt on something, or what do I hang on?
What? Yeah. What? And then she said, "The circuits are busy." And I thought she was talking about the circus.
Circuit.
And I said, "I don't care about the circus. I want to talk to my friend Maria." But anyway.
The elephants are on a peanut break. Yeah.
I'm telling you, American is fascinating because it's like jazz.
Good way
it's
to
like
put
jazz. It riffs and goes and it has its own
always
mood.
Evolving and going in a lot of different directions.
Yes, and it's highly emotional.
America is, it certainly is.
For me, it was amazing to sense this. I love jazz. So for me, the jazzy feeling of the spoken language led me to fall in love and go for it, even if I couldn't.
How long were you in New York?
I was there. I ended up staying 4 years. So it became a little bit home, And New Yorkers are so kind. You always feel of New Yorkers tough.
They get a bad rap, right? Yeah.
I was on the subway for the first time. And I said, how do I go to, I don't know, let's say Lincoln Center? 20 people came. I would tell you, get out here. No, get out there.
Yeah, make a left, go right. Yeah, 2 blocks over.
This Naples? It was Naples.
That is fantastic. So a lot of similarities there. And of course, you got involved in theater in New York, which of course New York is so well known for. And those experiences quite exciting, huh?
Yes,
Off
fantastic.
Broadway, and oh boy.
Especially the actors, the magic of actors. And here are these strangers eating a sandwich, and then they get up and do the magic. I
And
said,
boom.
wait, you were eating a sandwich a minute ago, you know? And then, and the fact, and the most magic for me is the audience. The
Hmm.
audience creates the play, because I have gone to see my own plays more than once, and they change each time because the audience changes. And
Oh, that's
what they
right. That's right.
right, I
Exactly.
tell
Yeah.
you, I was going,
It's a
what?
fresh
That's really
experience because
good at
it's
this line,
different
yes.
audience, different vibe. Exactly. Right. Yeah. You always forget about that. You always think, gee, got to do it again, got to do it again. But every time it's like starting from the beginning because there's a fresh new audience, different eyes, ears, feelings, right?
Yes.
That's
And the
exciting.
way they participate, and you can go, what happened? You know?
Yes. You're
And
right.
it's magnificent not to know what happened. I have to tell you, for me. I
Oh,
like
it's so
not to know
true.
what happened, just to have it, to
Just
experience it.
absolutely. So then New York, and then what took you from New York? What was next for
Well,
you?
my husband's work, I went to Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, yeah.
I learned to drive in Los Angeles.
You have to get around, that's for sure.
Can you
unless
believe it?
unless you have a limo.
Wow, what an image.
Yes.
But no, I did not have anymore.
No
So I
limo.
learned
Yeah.
to drive. And I actually started writing fiction there rather than plays. There was this writer, Dina Metzger, who said that she had a workshop every Wednesday night in a house in Topanga Canyon.
Oh,
I
Topanga
had,
Canyon's beautiful, isn't it?
yeah,
Oh, I did
oh,
that drive from Topanga Canyon. You go to the top and you look out. It's absolutely beautiful, all the wildflowers and everything. And then there's that Topanga Canyon Drive that, it's twisty, it's turny. You go turning and you go through the tunnels,
insane.
and at the end of it, you're in Malibu.
You go, what happened? And that's LA. It changes, changes, changes.
It really does, yeah.
Yeah, it's like this cake with many layers, and each layer is different.
That's right. That's a good way to look at it. Good analogy. So you're there in Topanga Canyon, and
Well, I had just learned to drive, so driving through those winding
what
roads.
a, I mean, what a,
But that told me that I really wanted to go to that workshop and learn to write fiction, because who else would do that? It's Byron who says it's only love that makes you tread paths that would scare a wolf. You know what I mean?
yes,
So here I
right?
am.
Driving along the twisty turny, the hills, the mountains. Oh boy. Gee. Could you imagine if you went to
Magnificent.
San Francisco after that?
No,
Whoa.
but could have. I definitely could have. I
You
learned a
could,
lot. I learned a lot.
yes. So how long were you in LA?
Oh, I think 8 years. Quite a long time.
8 years. And were you working on plays in LA too, in theater?
Yes, I
Yeah.
did. At
And
the
what
last.
was that like? How was that different than doing it in New York?
Well, LA had maybe more a community sense. I remember that I was invited by Oscar Eustis at the time. He was at the Mark Taper Forum to work in the mentor playwright program. And I work with Maria Irene Fornes and many other well-known playwrights. And it created a little community among the people, there, because we had plays done, but nothing like telling yourself, I still have to learn. It's marvelous.
Yes, constant learning, like a lifelong learner, and it's so important to do that. And are you still writing plays? Is that something that's still near and dear to your heart, Rosanna?
It is, but I have been so absorbed by this novel that I betrayed, I betrayed my
Now tell us, how is that different from writing a play? For those who, I've done a lot of writing over the years as well, and there are differences obviously in the styles and the approach and the formatics to it all. How do you describe the differences between writing the play and writing a novel? How was it different for you?
Well, the novel was extremely private. See, writing plays is always, you go to rehearsal and you hear it.
Bringing other people in.
You hear it again and someone gives opinion. Well, I was in a group when I wrote the novel, but it's so private. And in fact, I write at home because I need the shelter or something that has my back. You know what I mean? I need
Right.
to dangerous territory.
Comfort. Right.
All alone. And sometimes I imagine the readers, it helps me, but I also have conversation with them saying, that's a perfect adjective. I have this imaginary conversation. I don't know why you're objecting to it. So it's always wonderful when I give a reading and I meet my audience and I say, ha.
Yeah, right. And to get sort of like their feedback almost instantaneously, right?
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
I know. It really, really is. And so how long did it take you to write the book? From when you first started?
That's the truth. I think 4 to 5 years, because you
4
also
to 5
start.
years? Yeah.
You start and then you let it go and write a short story and write something. And then you go, wait, I have to go for it. And then you go back. So it's not this train that goes. And then it took me a year to really do it. I said, okay, that's it now. Let's do it.
Then you really, so what was harder for you? Getting started or knowing when it was finished? And I've had some guests say the middle was hardest for them because they knew what they wanted for the beginning. They had an idea of what they wanted for the ending, but bridging those two, that middle was harder for them. How about for you?
I have to agree.
The middle.
Yeah, because it's true. First of all, the beginning is like the first draft. It's amazing. It's marvelous. It's done. That took me short time. I was done in my innocence. Then I read it after a few weeks and I go, oh, dear God, no. But there is a raw quality when you begin the work. It's not as refined, but it's like with no flesh. It's raw is what you want. And then you have to walk slowly back and be a little more attentive to communicate. And unfortunately, it takes a long time. And then the ending, it's so true that you know where you want to go emotionally. I mean, I don't break down, this happens and this happens. It's an emotional breakdown for me. Mm-hmm. It's an emotional arc. But then it's still difficult midway to say, how do I do that? And that's a tough one.
Describe Renata for us.
Well, Renata is a person who has kept an innocent heart through many hardships. And she's a little fussy. She's not always a sweetheart. She has layers, but a great emotional sensitivity. She's a person who understands others. And sometimes that hurts a little because she sees things that other people wouldn't particularly see and perceives something in the silence. And she desires a lot. She wants to be loved. She wants to have answers and then learns, like we all do, that they are difficult to respond to.
Sounds like she's human. And she feels and has emotion, right? That she's a real person, who has her fears and her joys and her tragedy, triumph. I mean, a little everything that mixes into what life's all about. It's how we deal with it and how we look at it and how we pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off and continue from there, right, Rosanna?
Yes, perfectly put.
That's what it's about. How did you come up with the title, The War Ends at 4?
Well, I don't want to give it away, but there is a
So
moment.
when you read the book, obviously,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
you do
yeah,
sort of figure it out,
yeah.
right?
And the war does not end the war. It's like James Joyce put it: is the presence of an absence in a person's life. Like it was in my life. In Italy, the war was very present. In not, you know, exactly because but exactly in the silence of the parents whenever the subject came up. um, when I played in buildings that were destroyed, I suddenly realized that they were not destroyed by an earthquake. And it was a great fear to discover there was something my parents could not protect me from. And that was profound for me because, when you're a child, the parents can do anything. And then, but this
Oh,
one thing they cannot do. You know.
right. You think that your parents are like heroes. They can always solve all the problems. They'll take care of everything. Everything they say is perfect and right. And even as time goes on, sometimes though we love our family, sometimes we look back and say, you know what, maybe that wasn't necessarily right for me. Maybe it was right for them, but not exactly right for what my destiny was or what my dreams were, right? We sort of um, respect and honor it, but at the same time realize that maybe it wasn't always exactly what we had wanted for ourselves.
Absolutely. And then you find strength in saying, but perhaps, just perhaps, I'm this. And you only know it if you try it. So it's good to
That's
explore.
right. You only know if you get out there and you do it, and you certainly have. Obviously with all the different things you've done and the places that you've been. As I said in the beginning, it explores this quest of a perpetual outsider looking for the true home. Do you feel like that has been you? Have you been a perpetual outsider looking for a home or place to call home?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think that my novel, maybe I'm giving it away here, gives the hope the home is a place that responds to your emotions that you make yourself. Maybe it's a nest that you created. Home doesn't have to be nostalgia. There is marvelous things about nostalgia. A home might be a place that you find when people respond to you. I don't remember who said that, but home is you found a home when you are in a place you don't wish to escape anymore. I wish I remember this
What a
thing.
great way to put that. That you find a home when it's a place you don't want to escape anymore.
Yeah, I think so.
Have you found that in Minneapolis?
I believe so. Yes. I never think, oh, there are differences, but again, it's home. And home is what I feel myself. Home is where you don't have to have a version of yourself. There are no spectators.
No masks to wear, right? You're just
Home
yourself.
home is the house you create, where you don't have to show anything, when you don't have to be anybody, where you don't go, oh, now I'm the writer, now I'm the wife, now I'm the mother. No, home is where you just are. And it's a
It's the
marvelous thing.
safe place, right?
Yes, yes.
That's so important to have a place like that to call home. And what are some things that, as you wrote the book, you thought of in terms of what you hope the reader is left with? Is there a certain reader that you had in mind for The War Ends at 4, or is it for anybody, Rosanna?
It's really for anybody, but sometimes it helped me to think of someone who had healing to be done at home.
Mm.
Someone who didn't feel aligned with the path expected of them by the family, followed a different path. And I want to say, don't worry, there are others, we are here. Or someone who felt a conflict um, with family values. I mean, we all don't, I mean, life is complicated, and we are here trying to create a safe space for each other. And as a writer, I think it's almost an obligation. It's somewhere where I would want people reading my novel to be stimulated, thinking, but feel safe, feel that there is hope. There is
Would you say
great,
it's a hopeful book?
absolutely,
Yeah.
because the person in my novel has everything against her.
Right. Right. So she tackles it. We won't give away too much, but tackles quite a bit. And it's a book about resilience too, isn't it? About surviving some of the things that come your way, whether you're coming from a foreign land and going to a foreign land, or you're just dealing, you can be in what feels like a foreign land, just being in your own town. It all is in how you look at it and how you approach it and deal with it, right?
Thank you for saying that. Absolutely, you're saying what I wish. It's absolutely so. Home is an emotional nest. If you start thinking about the physical place, it gets complicated, and it's not really real.
Right.
Again, when I go back to Milan, it's a different Milan.
How is it different for you from when you grew up?
Oh, it's probably is because I was different. But now I found it uh, more driven in an odd way. I could navigate it less, but that's me. And there were these reference places change. If you go back to the place where you grew up or the neighborhood you grew up in, places change. That little bookstore that never knew it was a nest, but was a nest, is gone. Anything at a little bar, all these references that for us are like, home, change. So you have to change. You have to allow fluidity to your life
Is that something that you've always known, or did you have to discover that in yourself while living life?
while living life. While living life.
Did you have a certain set path early on in life? This is what it's going to be. This is how it's going to go. This is what I'm going to do. And then life changed that for you, and things loosened up and you became more fluid and flexible?
Yes, because when you're young, you do want to have
Everything
actually,
lined up.
yeah. When you are
Easy
young, I
peasy.
discovered that being young makes you want to be a little more severe. Then when you grow into yourself, you go,
You calm a
maybe
little
not.
bit.
You
Yeah.
know?
You mellow out. You realize that some of those things that you're worried about when you're in your teens and 20s or what have you isn't as important as you thought it was. I like what you said as far as going back to Milan and how Milan has changed, but that you have also changed with it. I think sometimes, when we look at life in that way, that it isn't always that everything around us is always different. It's that we have changed as well, because the earth keeps spinning and everything keeps morphing and changing and adapting and growing. So you grew when leaving Milan, and then when you went back, because of the growth you've had, Milan seemed a little different. Still a wonderful place, but you're seeing it from a different lens, right?
Yes, absolutely. You said it beautifully. It's really what you said.
And I think, if we look at a lot of our things in our lives in that way, in that perspective, that as time goes on, the lens may change a little bit, and it's because of our own experiences, the things that we deal with in our lives, and the things that we experience in our lives. It might make life a little bit more joyful and breathable, when you look at it that way. When you go back to places and you say, gee, it's so different, I don't recognize it. Look in the mirror. Are you different? Do you recognize who you are? Very important, right? I think if more people, let's start a campaign, a Lovity campaign right now to do that.
Yes.
You and I, Rosanna, we're going to do it here on the Jim Master Show.
Yes.
I think if you approach life in that way, it gives you a different lens and a different perspective, right?
Yes, absolutely. And, memories even.
Yes.
I get a little bit rowdy. Have you ever been sitting with your family and going, and that day so-and-so said that, and you say, no, they didn't. So even factual memories are not so obedient, So,
obedience, the word, right? Exactly. Loosen the tie a little bit.
yes, absolutely.
Do you see more novels coming down the road since this is your first? And again, congratulations on the first. And we encourage people to get it. And, you can go to Amazon, different places, website, talk about all that. But do you see more? Is there a series or something? Or
The conversation
is happening
of the characters is done.
So that particular,
and I actually like to leave a little question, because so I want the reader to come in and be free to imagine. And if they have been with Renata and the characters, everything they imagine is absolutely perfect. That means that they really identified and they walked in. And you know what they say, I don't know who said that, but a novel does not exist before the readers. I mean, you need the readers, they are the audience. So, they have the right to come in, and if they felt passionately, any conclusion they imagine is the conclusion. But I do have another novel, unfortunately, that I just started.
Wait, did you say unfortunately?
Yeah, because I know
it's it's a lot of work.
Yes. I lost my innocence writing.
That's the first time I lost my innocence writing the first novel. That's the first time I've heard that. And it's the first time I've heard somebody say, unfortunately, I have another novel coming.
I am too honest.
I think it's fantastic. Honesty is refreshing for a change, in humanity and day-to-day living. That's exciting. And it's just that that once you get going on the novel, it's going to be intense and your focus is 100%. So that's what it is. It isn't that, oh no, another thing I got to write. It's that because you wouldn't do it unless you wanted to. And yes. It's basically because you're going to be so immersed and invested in it when you're writing it, right?
And tormented, and the midpoint. Maybe all writers should meet, and we should write each other's midpoint.
I had said invested and everything. She said tormented. That's what all of it, right?
It's marvelous.
Tormented by yourself.
It's what?
Tormented by yourself.
Yeah.
Trying to.
Yeah.
How did you develop the characters in it? Because I know a lot of people I've chatted with and interviewed over the years on television and on radio, and even on this series too. Many of them say that a lot of times when they create characters, the characters in whatever the work is, whether it's a book, play, anything, TV, movie, they're like their children. They watch out for the characters. They care about the characters. The characters are almost like babies for them, childlike for them. How about for you? Were you that close to and protective of the characters in the novel?
It's that they spoke to me. They really, after a while, they start having their own body and logic. And one particular character was like a teenager, kind of slamming the door at me and saying, "What are you talking about? I wouldn't do that, you know." And there is a conversation, but in the beginning, some were more difficult than others to enter, and some, of course, are Shadow or Renata. But once they started gaining their their reality, they guided me. They told me when I was being true to them or not, and they refused to go on. You know,
I've heard that kind of thing
oh
before,
yeah,
which is really amazing, where
uh,
the characters speak to you and the characters come alive off the pages, right?
oh yeah, oh yeah. It's. I could meet them on the street and recognize them.
Mhm.
I am telling you, at a certain point, they really have this body and this presence, emotional and physical. And, because I've been with them for so
Yeah.
long, especially in the last year. I mean, in the beginning, they were more fluid. But
Hmm.
then, once they acquired also a way of speaking, that is not just a way of speaking, it has to be aligned to a
Right.
personality. When I had them say something that wasn't aligned to the personality, the theme, their desire, they went, "What?" They refused to move. You know, they do it. Yeah.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Yeah,
It's
it's
really
true.
something. Yeah.
It's true.
How did you know when to finish it? How did you know when you were comfortable enough to say, okay, I'm good. It's the last period on the last sentence, maybe a rewrite or two, but I can feel comfortable enough to know this novel, my very first novel, is complete.
There is a fullness, a sense that I said it, and I always think an example of I have many friends who are dancers,
Yeah, sure.
not classic dancers,
Yeah.
modern dancers, and they always know when the piece is finished. They stop, and I always felt yes, you know.
Mm.
So it's more of an emotional fullness. You've reached the emotional fullness. Just a dance piece. You know, you're done.
That's a satisfaction, right?
There
I like
is
that emotional fullness.
yes.
Not half, not three quarters, full. And we can't go any fuller than full. And when you've reached it, that's when you can release the dove into the air, right?
Perfect. Thank you. Yes.
Hmm. That's I know how that is working, in the creative industry like this, in the world that we're in, very similar. And sometimes it takes time to get to the point when you feel that emotional fullness in that particular work or that project. And the other thing that there's another rabbit hole that many of us have gone down that you can go down quite easily, is editing. Editing can be intense because you can, even like in our world in video and things of that nature, you can edit and edit and edit and edit to the point where it's so edited because you think you're perfecting it that you've just lost the heart and soul of it.
It has to remain dangerous for you. It has to keep the danger. It has to keep this conversation. You know?
Yes, right. It's what keeps it fresh, keeps it alive, keeps you wanting to do more and create more too,
Exactly.
which I think is fantastic. What are some of the things in life that inspire you, Rosanna, to do this work? Accomplished playwright, now novelist.
I like to try new things. I learned by moving around so much.
You
And
keep
it's
you keep
so
busy, keep going. Yeah, keep
interested.
trying new things, learning new things.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a little magic in everything. I think Octavio Paz said that, there is a poetry subtext in everything.
Yeah.
A car, a walk, a dog. And we poets rub the words against each other and release the emotion. But everybody can feel the emotion if you pay attention. So something catches my attention and doesn't let go. And I go,
Mm.
And sometimes it's simple, apparently simple. And I go, why don't you go? It's nothing. But it stays.
But
You
it
know?
stays. Yeah.
Stays.
How cool is that, huh? How
Yeah.
special that is. Very much. Wow. So it's quite a journey, quite an experience through all of this.
Mm.
Have you ever done anything with your voice, sing or do narrative work, voice work? You've got a beautiful speaking voice, and I'm sure
Oh my
you've
God,
heard that.
thank you.
I'm sure you've heard that from a lot of people.
But for me, I have to tell you, in my head, I don't have an accent. So when I start speaking, I go, what? Who's that? Every time I have to get used to it a little, you know.
That's Renata. That's
Yes,
your
yes,
doppelganger, Renata. You're right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
That's
go,
it.
who's that?
Today, we don't know if it's Rosanna or Renata. We will find out.
You will. Thank you.
What do you hope people are left with when they read this novel? And we encourage folks to pick it up and enjoy it.
A desire to just let themselves be authentic, to be less afraid to go to the scary, supposedly scary parts of oneself,
Yeah.
to see the hopefulness. And even in a crisis, I think I said that, but a crisis requires that you're authenticity.
Oh, yeah. You
In
got
that
to.
moment, you go, oh, no
There's no
bullet.
time to put the makeup on or to get the nice shirt or
Yeah.
do any of that, right? You
So
just got to.
please see this side of it, that you're seeing yourself without, silly embellishment that come in the way. Look at your authenticity, and it's who you are, and it's gorgeous. I love people.
Yeah, I was going to say. And you're loving life, huh? You sound like you are at a point in your life beyond the novel that is at an emotional fullness as well on several levels.
Well, let's hope.
I love that.
You know how it is.
You notice how your voice went lower when you said that? Through the whole conversation, it's higher and it's perky in the, well, let's hope.
Yeah, surprises,
Surprise. Are you a perfectionist?
I'm afraid so. In the beginning, I'm very free, but then I call myself a revisionarian. I revise a lot.
So she is a visionary and a revisionary.
At the end, though, in the beginning, I had to let it free, let it crazy, let it bother me, let it annoy me, because you can't tame it too soon.
Mm.
Otherwise you cut the voice, cut the authenticity, cut what you want to hear. So let it be crazy. Let it be crazy without embellishments and without, comb your hair. Don't comb your hair in the beginning.
Right. It almost equates to having a fishing line and being on a boat and just tossing it out into the ocean and letting it grab onto whatever it grabs onto. But then slowly you start to reel it in a little bit, start reeling in whatever it is that you've caught, that you've got on that line. You throw it out there, into the water, not knowing what's going to happen. And then as you start getting some activity from it, You start reeling it in.
Wow, I hadn't thought of it that way. Thank you.
I'm very visual.
Thank
Yeah, I'm a very
you.
visual. I always
You.
look
That's
for ways
beautiful.
to find a visual analogy when describing life in many ways. My humor is that way too. It's observational humor. So it's humor that is based on, it's dry, it might be witty, dry, quick. It's based on reaction to what I see going on and the craziness and idiosyncrasies of life and living. So I can think fast and quickly in that way. And I think that's passed down through the family. But yeah, I tend to be visual. I'm always looking for ways to connect what somebody says with a visual, because sometimes when people can create a visual, oh, I get
Mhm.
it. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, you throw the fishing line out and then something happens and then slowly you reel it in and then you start working on it and perfecting it a little bit, right?
Yeah, I love that it starts with the desire.
Yes.
You throw, but then you let it speak to you.
Let it speak
Bravo,
to you.
yeah, bello.
Yeah.
Mi piace, I like it.
Why do you love this so much? Why do you love what you do so much? You've been doing it for a while, Rosanna, and you have gone to different locations and you've left your mark in different cities and towns, countries. What is it about this that inspires you? How are you inspired on a daily basis?
Well, it is again what I experienced as a child. I lived a very ordinary life in a very small town. It was driving me crazy. But then I started writing in my journal and I discovered the transformative power of writing. Suddenly the day became interesting. And that emotion has never left me. It's not just a walk to the grocery store, it's something. And something happens. And it's like the fishing that you had described. While you're walking, something pulls at your fish pole, and you go, huh, you know, it kept going for me. That was real life. I used to be a copywriter when I was very young in college in Milan, and I learned that objects are not objects. They are transformed by desire. You have to, people want to desire the pen because it will make them something else.
Mm-hmm.
So even objects are not just objects. I learned that as a copywriter.
I
I was
get
very
that.
junior, but you know,
No, I've completely admitted that I humanize objects a lot, especially chairs, because chairs have such character, and chairs, people sit in them and you never know who sat in them before, and just the design and the shape of them and the colors and chairs I find to be my sister seems to have that little extra juice there too, with being able to humanize inanimate objects that way, give them human characteristics, bring them to life, kind of like what you've done in this novel with your characters. It's almost like a third eye way of thinking and being, right? You don't just see that object as just this thing.
no.
You attach a lot of reason and emotion and feeling to that. Like you say, you want that because there's some kind of emotion, something that's going to arise as a result of getting, acquiring whatever that is. One of those things can be love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Love
We
is one of
want
the
to be
biggest.
loved. We all want to be
Yes.
loved. It's true.
Everybody does. Yes,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
accepted.
And accepted. Exactly. This is exciting. It's a wonderful conversation we've been having. Novelist, playwright, Rosanna Staffa here on the show. You know, you do have a beautiful voice, and I could. Is there going to be an audiobook version? I could listen to you read it for hours, and the
Well,
way
I
you
wish there was an audiobook. I will read it now that you're telling me.
All right, publishers, get on that one. Yeah, I think just in the way that you describe, the way you let your words roll, and there's a melodic nature to your speech pattern. I said a lot of voice over the years. I've done a lot of vocal work, and there's a melodic, pleasing way that you speak that I identified right away that draws people in. It draws them in, which is not always an easy thing to do. You know, usually you got to promote something, sell something, give people reasons. Just in listening to the tonality and textures of your voice, it draws people in. So I could definitely see you doing the audiobook and other vocal work as well.
Wow, thank you so much. Splendid.
Yeah. That's it, right? I'm sure our viewing audience totally agrees. I know that with comments being shared and all, I think that they all agree. Let's talk about this again. The War Ends at 4. And it's, again, the very first novel from award-winning playwright Rosanna Staffa, coming to us from Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA. You know, you got the M and the I in Minneapolis like you had the M and the I in Milan. You know that?
Oh, wow. No,
see
thank you.
how uncanny that is, right?
Yes, wonderful.
So maybe you are home. Congratulations on the book. Again, available at Amazon and where books are sold. And there is Rosanna's website as well. You can learn about other wonderful things that she's done and she's working on in her wonderful career, and more about the book, The War Ends at 4. This was a wonderful conversation. I can't believe that it's been an hour already. It doesn't even, I know.
Oh, wow.
I know every guest says that. They're like, gee, it doesn't seem like it's that time, but that's why I say, because I know we say interviews, but I like conversations, and this is a conversation, and you were a wonderful person to stop by our show. And I wish you continued blessing and joy in your life, Rosanna, and keep creating, keep making great art for all of us to soak up and savor and get us thinking about life. And I hope the show met whatever expectations you had, and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you.
I thank you deeply. And, you know, you are a fantastic host. You pulled things out of me that I wouldn't normally speak of, talk about. I thank you so much. It was a fantastic conversation.
The pleasure is all mine. Do you feel, after this conversation and being a guest on the Jim Masters Show, do you feel emotionally full now?
Yes.
Perfect. Then I've done my job. That's perfect. I'm going to use that. I love that way of thinking about it. Emotionally full. I also love what you said that stood out is, you know, when you go back to a place that you've been before and it seems like it's so different and it's changed and almost like you can't identify with it anymore. You have also changed. So the lens you're looking through has been altered as well. And if you look at it that way, maybe the fact that this changed and you've changed, instead of it being apart, bring it together and share the changes that have occurred. And some really cool things can happen as a result, right?
Wonderful. Yes, I agree. It's fantastic.
Well, you continue writing, continue creating for all of us. And we will keep the porch light on for you. As we always say to the guests, you are welcome back anytime, Rosanna, okay?
Thank you so much. It was a fantastic experience.
Oh, for me as well. And for our lovely viewers watching, they already said you're a lovety. How does it feel to be a Jim Masters Show lovety? Isn't that a cool feeling?
Yes. Super cool.
Super cool to be a JMS Lovity with the Lovity Squad. We thank everybody for watching and all the views and comments and everything. And this will be archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. That's where you can find this. And if you enjoyed this episode, give it a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, and leave a comment underneath the episode as well. That helps our series grow as well. Spread the word about our show, the Jim Masters Show, Rosanna. We'd appreciate that. And we hope to chat again real soon. You be well, okay?
You too. Thank you.
Cheers. Take care now. Or ciao.
Ciao. Arrivederci.
Ciao. Arrivederci. Take care. Bye-bye now. Our very special guest, Rosanna Staffa, joining us here on the Jim Masters Show. What a great conversation. She is terrific, huh? You can see why she's a brilliant playwright. I tell you, I really do love her voice. I can listen to her speak for hours. She really should do some narrations and vocal work and, read children's stories and different things. I hope that, she does turn this into the audio book as well. Stay tuned, check out her website, if that does happen. I'm sure she'll post about that as well. You see the book on the screen, The War Ends at 4. Get it at Amazon and Barnes & Noble, all the places where books are available, online, of course. And her website, of course, is rosannastaffa.com. And we will pull that up for you as well so you can see the spelling. And this was cool. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was a terrific episode. Great conversation. As you guys know, we might have one theme, but we go in a lot of different directions. And, nothing is formatted so tightly where it's just question, answer, question, answer. We go in a lot of different directions. We have a good time doing it. And I hope you enjoyed yourself as well. For all of us here at the Jim Masters Show, this is your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time to next time. Gang, stick with us. Spread the word about our show. Don't keep it a secret. If you love what we're doing and you want to see more, like, comment, and subscribe, leave a comment on our YouTube channel underneath this episode. Click the like button. There's a big like button there, and we'd appreciate that. And don't forget to subscribe. It doesn't cost anything when you do that. It's the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. And be sure and click. There's a little notification bell right next to the word subscribe. Make sure you click that so you never miss any of our episodes. Sometimes people say, oh, I didn't know that episode was on. Or, boy, I wish I was on, there when the show is airing. Click that notification bell. You'll get notification alerts from us, from the Jim Masters Show, about all the episodes. You can find me on social media at all the usual suspect places. You can find me on X, formerly Twitter, at Jim Masters TV, and Facebook and Instagram at Jim Masters TV. And of course, the YouTube channel is Jim Masters TV as well. We don't say goodbye around here. We say ciao, cheers, arrivederci, avida sayonara, sláinte, take care, shalom, be well, cheerio, be good to one another, take care of one another, and love one another. And don't forget to love yourself as well. We will catch you on the next episode. We appreciate you. Love your being here. Spread the word. Don't keep it a secret. And thanks so much for joining us on the Jim Masters Show Live series. Cheers.